So people have been asking me to review the Maximus Tribe Oral TRT-Plus protocol. So you go to their website and it says understand the science, and their product contains native testosterone. Wow. Most compounded oral testosterones are in the undecanoate form. They're saying they're using just pure testosterone. That is very interesting. They're also using N-clomiphene. Well, go and watch my videos and see what I think about N-clomiphene for TRT. And it contains pregnenolone. Wow, pregnenolone is a precursor steroid hormone for a variety of other steroid hormones, including testosterone. So now you go to the studies that were done on this product, and already we have a little problem. And that problem is, as you can see, the study was done by the company itself. You see that? S. Cameron Sapa, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, corresponding author, and his email is at maximustribe.com. So already we have an issue. So anytime you have a company that's doing research to validate their own product, you introduce things like conflict of interest, publication bias, study design flaws, data manipulation, because they have a vested interest in making the product seem efficacious so that you buy it. So already we need to be very skeptical of whatever's in this paper. So when I went and downloaded the white paper from Google Scholar, as opposed to looking at the highlights on the website, I looked at the study design and it seems pretty flawed. They're using 79 subjects. They're using a mixture of eugonadal and hypogonadal men. Okay, so men with normal testosterone levels and men with subnormal testosterone levels. And they're looking at subjective outcomes. So anytime you have a study with a small number of participants looking at subjective outcomes, and you don't have a placebo control group, which this study did not, that introduces a significant likelihood that you're going to get a placebo effect. So now you look at the different experiments that they expose the participants to, and really it looks like it appears that they're just trying to measure levels in relation to the dosing intervals. So they did one where they gave the men a certain dose and measured their hormone levels an hour later, and then they did one where they gave men a dose and measured their hormone levels 4 hours later. At no point in time is there any pharmacokinetic information that would be useful in terms of a graph that looks like this. This is for injectable testosterone, and you can see very clearly the peak and trough levels. We don't get that from this study at all. There's nothing in this paper that looks anything like this or has this kind of data. It's just what are the levels at 1 hour, what are the levels at 4 hours. Another thing to be skeptical about is they're saying you can 2 to 5x your total testosterone, but it doesn't say when that happens. As far as I can tell, that's just 4 hours after you take the drug. Well, if that's the case, well, this is test E. You can 10x your total testosterone levels and for days after. Okay, so that's not really an advertisement that you should pay any attention to. It looks like the 4 experiments they did were this pilot B, BF plus 4, B plus 1, B plus 4, and measured total and free testosterone levels. Now, this part was kind of confusing. It seems like the doses that they used of N-clomiphene were all over the place. So that's a big red flag right there, because in point of fact, their product label right here says that they use anywhere from 3.125 to 25 milligrams of N-clomiphene and varying doses of testosterone and pregnenolone. You have to go up here in the paper to see that the N-clomiphene dose was varied based on LH and FSH, so they adjusted the doses. So it looks like the highest testosterone levels at 4 hours were done with the higher dose of testosterone and N-clomiphene with a fatty meal. That's not surprising, because obviously higher doses of testosterone will produce higher testosterone levels, and most oral forms of testosterone are better absorbed with a fatty meal. Okay, and so as you can see, the participants reached a mean total testosterone level of 1327 at 4 hours. Still, we do not have adequate pharmacokinetic data. We don't have anything that looks like this. So we don't know the half-life of this medication. We don't know the peak trough levels of the medication. We don't know any of that. And that's a major weakness. And here are the results. You can see these are the Q-atom scores before treatment. 59.4% rated their energy as low. 96.9% rated their energy as significantly improved. Same with strength and endurance. Okay. And, you know, some of these others, although they're not significant at a p-value of less than 0.001, they are pretty significant improvements, like libido, erections. And this is, you know, again, there's no control group, so there's probably a significant placebo effect. They don't even say when they remeasured the participants. So that's also a big issue. And remember, these are all subjective scales too. And we have no pharmacokinetic data. So I would say on the whole, yeah, I'm very, very skeptical. Very, very skeptical. But if you take this at face value, all right, if you just trust the company that's doing the study, all right, this is not something they submitted to the FDA because they're trying to get approval, right? They're just using a compounded product with like native testosterone and clomiphene. So they don't have to do that. But this kind of study design would never meet rigorous like drug approval criteria for sure. But if you take this at face value, pretty impressive. There's just a lot missing. There's just a lot missing, and I can't help but wonder if a lot is missing intentionally. Now, another thing is they're bragging about the fact that they get lower estrogen levels. Okay, so lower estradiol levels on TRT is actually a bad thing. Okay, estradiol is what gives you your visceral fat reduction on TRT. That's the thing that prolongs life, is an estradiol effect. Yes, estradiol going up on TRT is a good thing. I have several videos where I explain that. It says, by lowering estrogen, the treatment circumvents complications commonly associated with high estrogen levels during TRT, such as gynecomastia, mood swings, and water weight gain. Well, water weight gain is an effect of testosterone. It's not just an effect of estradiol. Mood swings can be an effect of testosterone. Gynecomastia is really about the velocity ratio change in the estradiol to testosterone ratio. And, you know, if you're on injectable testosterone, that can be managed 99% of the time by adjusting the dose to a microdose. So I don't see that as a benefit of the product at all. But in terms of all these results, it just depends on whether you trust the company that performed the study who's also selling the product. Now, if you take all this at face value and you think this is all, you know, totally honestly done and there's no biasing, no placebo effect, which you'd be a fool to think those things, then yeah, this is an amazing product. But I guess old Doc Bronson is a little more skeptical.